Hi, welcome to Forex Trading Tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to be looking at optimization and walk forward testing. When we talk about walk forward testing, what we have to look at is we have to imagine that our testing is done over a period of time. Now, what a mistake that a lot of people make is that they will test their robot over a length of time, and it's called in-sample testing. So for example, say they tested and optimized their robot over this length of time, and then they tested just the end period, then the results are already, for that end period, are already optimized into the trading. That means that even though you might think that the robot makes lots of money, in real life trading it doesn't work that way. In real life trading we have an optimized robot and then we have the unknown. Now this is an example of walk forward in sample out of sample testing, and what you do is you would optimize a robot for a period of time, you would then let that robot trade live, and then you would see how much money you would make. Then once that period is over, you would then re-optimize that robot including the time that you've just traded, and then trade the next bit live, and then so on and so forth until you would keep doing that. And that is a way to keep your robot in tune with the market. If you do it as a linear way, then your results can be out of whack. So let me show you how we can do that. What we do is, to be able to do that with MetaTrader 4, we would just quite happily just select the time period we want to trade in. Now what I've done is I've just selected 2 weeks. We'll do 2 weeks, and then we would forward test for a week, and then we would again do 2 weeks. As you can see here, we're just doing time periods, so in this case we're just doing 2 weeks, then running for a week, and then we'll be just testing for the next 2 weeks, running for a week, then testing these 2 weeks, then running for a week. So that is one way of doing it. The reason I'm doing it that way as well is because it will be any optimization that you use through MetaTrader 4 takes a lot of power and takes a lot of time, so it just allows me to do it in a reasonable time scale. I'm only really going to do the one anyway. While I'm showing you that, I'm just going, what I have done is I've done a whole year's worth of testing, and this is done on a 2-month and 1-month basis, again with million dollar pips. And while I've set up and running the system, I'll show you that. So very simple. To optimize, we need to choose our robot we wish to optimize. In this case it's million dollar pips. Again, we're just choosing the currency pair and the time frame, and we're making sure that we're using all of the ticks, which is the most amount of information we can get. To be able to optimize a robot, we need to tick the optimization box, and we need to go to our expert advisors. So this brings up here. So we go into our testing, and at the moment we're just going to test for 10,000. In this case it's $10,000, and we're looking at our optimization here. Now we can optimize for different things, so we can say a balance, we can optimize for profit factor, expected payoff, maximum drawdown, or drawdown percent. So depending on how we want to run our robot, say we want to make sure that it does not draw down, so we want the lowest drawdown, we can then optimize it for drawdown percent and then find the right settings for ourselves that allow us to get that result. And again, if we wanted profit factor, we can just build that in, and that will give us the highest profit factor. Okay, so looking at the optimization things, this is our values, and again we can just click in here and we can change these to we want. So what this means is that our system will optimize each run, and it will work within these parameters. So basically, if it goes below a minimum balance of 200, you can it will stop the optimization and move on to the next. So for example, you wanted to say that that was 1,000, you could just do it at 1,000 and that would be fine, it would just stay there. Or you could just do it as and all you would do to make sure you could activate it, you would just click it on, and again you would just do the profit maximum, minimum margin level, maximum drawdown, consecutive losses. So again, you can just tailor make it so you can get rid of any bad trades. Because this takes a while to do, a good use of this can save you a bit of time. So again, if you want to just activate them, you just tick the boxes and then they'll be activated. What we have here is a thing called generic algorithm, and what that means is that if you click on that, the computer will decide whether or not the testing is correct based on its algorithm. And so instead of testing, say you had 100 tests to run through, instead of running a whole 100, it might run through 30 and use the genetic algorithm to work out the others after getting the other results. It's just, again, it just speeds up the optimization process, because this can take, I mean, just doing 2 months and just doing 40 runs can take on this computer 12 hours. So 4 hours. So, you know, as you can see, it does take quite a lot of time to do. Next thing we need to look at is when we're doing our optimization, our start, step and stop come in. So what we need to do is we need to choose what they're going to be. Now, what we're doing here is we're using the same settings that I used when I did the monthly ones. So we're ticking the box to say we wanted additional channels. We're saying I want you to start the testing at number 1. I want you to move up in 1, and I want you to finish when we get to 10. Obviously we have to tick the box. If I untick it, it would just do the value. If I tick it, it will do the start, step and stop. Okay, so we could change the slippage, but we're going to keep the slippage the same. We could change the orders if we want to, but we're going to keep it the same. And what we are going to do is this trailing resolution. So this is the trailing stop. So if we had it unticked, it would just use 0.5. If we tick it, it's going to start on 0.3. It's going to move in steps of 0.1, and we're going to stop at 0.6. And that's all of the things that we're going to do. So we're just going to say OK to that. Now we're happy with the optimization, so we're just going to press start. Now what that will do is this will all be 99% because we're using tick data. So this is now just going to run through all of the optimizations, and when it gets to the end, I will show you the results that it produces. Now let's have a look at these. Now what I've done here is I've done the same walk forward system as we've done here. So I've tested for a period of time. Now all these strategy reports are the live trading that's resulted from after I've done the testing. So as you can see, we've done the first thing here. So we've basically tested the first 2 months. So this is the time period between when we're trading. And then what we've been doing here is that's the optimization. And this is the dates that we're now doing the live forward test on. So as you can see, we've got a 99% modeling quality. We made initial deposit because the reason why we've done 20,838 is because in the first 2 months, because this is March, we actually took it from 10,000 to make 20,838 profit. So as you can see, we started off, and at the end of the time, we've made 22,510. So in that month, we made a little bit of profit there, which is good. And our gross profit was 2,944, and that was using the settings we'd found from the first 2 months. If we move to the next month, as you can see, the months moved along, and this time we were testing between the first of and we were getting, so sorry, that was the dates there, that was the times we were testing between. Sorry, we tested between the February and March, and this gave us, and then we forward tested April's, and again 99% quality, and this time we had a profit of 4,417. And what we've done is when we said initial deposit of 22,510, is what we've done is we've taken the final profit that we got at the end of that month, and then we added that into the tester to make sure that we can then make sure that we're just walking it forward, so we would know exactly how much we would make. So again, and I will put all these onto the website so you can have a look, and you can have a look through and see how well they've got on. And again, they're all 99% modeling quality, and if we get to the end one, what we can see is that by the time we got to the end, we had turned $10,000 in a year into $40,000, and we weren't taking much risk. We were only taking a maximum of 3 risks per trade, but because we did the walk forward, we could be able to make sure that we were always optimizing our robot to the market conditions. Okay, so coming back here, so what we've got is we now had 2 optimization runs. The first figure is how many have been done, and the second figure is how many there are done. So okay, it's just gone up to 3. So here is roughly how long it's taken per time through, and how long it's going to take to do the entire 40. And what we have here is we have some optimization results here. So this will tell us the additional channels, the time resolution. So it's just working its way through the different settings that we'd given ourselves. And as you can see, different settings makes slightly different profits. And at the moment, this one's coming out as to be in the most money. So that's good. We have an optimization graph, which is just kind of showing the different balances at the moment. So I'm going to pause that, I'm going to let that run through, and then we'll have a look at that at the end and see how well we're getting on. Okay, the optimization has finished. So what it's done here is it's done 40 runs of 40 tests. And if we have a look at the optimization results, this is the bottom end. When we asked for it to give us balance, what it's done is it's kind of given us a reasonable drawdown, expected payoff, profit factor, total trades, and the profit. And in this case, the profit is the highest profit. And what we'll see as we scroll down, that it generally goes a little bit lower until we get down to the bottom there, which kind of gives us roughly half the amount. And as you can see, just by changing the channels and the trial resolution can have a dramatic effect on how much money is made in the following week. Sorry, this is over the 2 weeks, sorry. Now what we would do for forward optimization, which is in sample, out of sample testing, is we would have to decide which one of these top ones we want to use in our forward test. So what we would do is we would suggest, say, we would choose the highest profit, but we then have to say, okay, for the highest profit, we know that the 7 channels was the better. So then have to decide which of these trailing resolutions we wish to use. Now, once they're all the same, it's a kind of a bit of a guesswork. So what I tend to do is I tend to sit roughly around the middle of whatever decisions have been made. And in this case, it's 0.4 or 0.5. So I'm going to choose 0.5. So all we need to do here, I'll click on the one with 0.5, right click, set input parameters, and what that will do is if we go into the Expert Advisor, automatically it's put in those parameters that we needed. So now that it's 7, and then we scroll down to the next one, and it's put in the 0.5, which is what we've chosen. Okay, so now if we just go forward a week, so we go to the 21st, and we'll go from the 14, and what we'll do this time, the optimization buttons come off. So now we're just going to use those settings in a forward, and this is as if we were trading live, and this is how we would do it for any live system. And again, it just means that we can optimize the robots for the current market conditions, and once we've got those robots optimized, we can then use that information to then trade, and it gives us the best chance to make the most money in the coming weeks. If the market changes, then obviously once that's been included in the optimization, then it kind of reconfigures itself, and that is the essence of the walk forward testing. So that's just going to take a little bit to work through. So I'm just going to pause it. Okay, so now we've got it through, so we just have a look at the results and the graph. Again, 99%. And what we're saying here is the total net profit for that week would have been 986. So now you can see, by doing a walk forward optimization, by letting the computer itself determine what the best settings are for that time period, we can then move forward, test it, and then when we were going to optimize again, so we got to the end of this week's forward test, all we would do is now we would test this time frame, and then once we've got the answer for that, we would then use that to test the next week. So if you were doing a 2 week every week, you would just optimize the last 2 weeks, put in the input parameters, you would just find out what was the best, put in the input parameters, and then you would just add those into your robot here. So all you would say is, okay, at the moment that's the input parameters I've got. So you would go here, Expert Advisors, Properties. You would scroll down to your additional channels or to whatever bits you were testing. And all you would do is add in the bit that would give you the test, and that would keep your robot forward and optimized. And that's it. In the next video, we're going to be talking about how to portfolio robot and the best way to manage the system.